Hello, so this game is interesting, but I think the problem with it is that it doesn't have a proper tutorial, so I'll just give you all of the tips you need to play the game at a good level and also kind of advance, because that's one of the reasons people think this is a very bad game. They don't know how to advance, and it's not really well explained. So tip number one, the goal of the game is to get materials, more and better materials over time. So in the beginning you only have access to certain things, but as time goes on and you find more stuff, you'll see that the game kind of changes, so the tiers of the guns will also need better materials to be repaired. So if you have a better ship with better guns and better stuff on it, that doesn't mean it's easier to play the game, it means you need even more materials to maintain it. Tip number two, now how to get another tier of a boat, and this is probably one of the things that is very least explained. I mean, I don't think it's explained at all. That's one of the best things you can get, and as you can see, people have a lot of boats and you don't know how to get them. Well, simply put, you just have to board them. To board the boat, you need to destroy its gun first so it doesn't destroy you. You need to destroy the helmsman or the driver, and then you have the option to board it. So yeah, let's say that boat over there, you destroy the gunman, that one over there as well, and then you shoot the helmsman in the back usually, because they'll be protected by a cabin usually. And then you have the option to board it. While you board it, you can transfer all of your things to the new ship, and then you can go back to your base and have a new tier of the ship available. A new tier meaning a new type of ship you can build and play around with. Now, I'm not going to the specifics of it, but it can be very good, it can be very bad, depends on how you view things.
City of Tree.
Oh, you'll hear that voice line so much. And over here, as you can see, you have your boats, shipyards, and some other stuff, as you can see. Let's go to the shipyard a little bit, and as you can see, you have the hulls, and this is the one I captured, Walrus tugboat. It's not very good, but again, I'm not going to the details of what is a good ship, what is a bad ship. I'll have to make another video for that. But now you know how to capture one, and then how to build it, and well, you can build or rebuild your ship over here, see? Again, I'll not insist too much on that, because that will be another video in its own. Tip number 3, you have a limited amount of crew, and that means you have a max number of guns, and that means all of the people who man the guns need to have the right skills. Most of the game will be playing with only a limited amount of people, so since you have 5 people, one is the helmsman. Oh, we have a little war over here. Yeah, there'll also be open world PvP based on the factions. This is a safe zone, as you can see by the shield above my health. And that's why there's no collision. There'll be collision if you are out in the open world fighting. So yeah, 5 is the amount of crew you'll be playing most of the time with. I think you can get one more crew if you do all of the quests. There might be some other ways to get crew in the beginning. Also, you cannot reset their skills, so choose very wisely. In the beginning, I recommend you only choose machine guns and cannons. Those are the things that most people use. Tip number 4, quests are very important. You must complete them in order to get some rewards, but also to gain access to more important quests. As you can see, this is what I've been doing since I started playing, since the game released. Just doing a lot of quests and barely managing to get a good boat, because I didn't really pay attention to that aspect of the game. Tip number 5, every repair you do will cost resources, so higher tier guns or equipment is harder to repair. So don't upgrade too fast, because as you can see, I can repair the machine guns Mark II pretty easy, but I guess gun parts are also very hard to get, metal and wood. But then over here you see I have a tier 2 cannon, which means I need to get another resource, which is this one over here, which is much harder to get than the normal ones. So the better the resource tier, the more you have to go into the dangerous area. So let's say this area is very safe, outside this area is super dangerous, and over here you can even have some group spawn, because the developers, I think they made this kind of like a group thing. So yeah, you can join groups with other people, you can also put them on blacklist. So just know that the game might not seem like it's very well designed for single player, just because it has all of those other mechanics that, well, it's not really explained. But just be careful what you put on your ship. Sometimes it's just much better to have a very plain and old ship that you can repair very fast, instead of, look at me, I cannot repair my 2 cannons just because I don't have the resources. So yeah, think about that as well. Tip number 6, the main currencies are corks and coins. Corks and coins. The corks are used at various trading posts to trade various things. Mostly it's going to be the stuff you want to get. Let me show you. Let's hear that voice line again. Servers are a bit unstable today, I don't know what's up with them.
City of Three Wheels is open to you, Mayor. So,
Right. So, you only use one currency to trade, which is the corks. Now, this is very, very important because you can just sell excess equipment and just buy weapon parts and some other stuff, but not everyone will have the same amount of materials available to trade. So, for example, West Workshop will have the gun parts. I think the workshops might all have gun parts for sale, and then you can just go around the place and, you know, fast travel or just go at your own pace. Now, what are the coins used for? Well, this is a bit of a problem. The medallion. Most of the people will be using this for the base shop. You can buy warrior kits, nitro power banks, repair kits. Again, this is just in-game currency you can get from events or quests, naval lamps and so on. But most people will just want to get the boarding kits. Ammunition also can be very important, but again, it depends on what happens when you're playing the game. So that's how you can destroy bigger ships or be better at PvP, but it's not recommended you get that. Boarding kits and some other stuff will be the ones you want to get. Also the horn. Where is the horn? I guess it doesn't appear after you buy it. Sadly, you can also buy a ton of resources just by using this system over here. Let me see if there are any events going on. From what I saw, there are only two types of events. No, there are no events going on. I think they start at random intervals at set locations on the map and you can fast travel to them if you have the cooldown available. One will be just PvP and carrying pearls. If you carry the pearl longer, you get more points and so on. The other one will just be a team protects a ship and another team has to destroy the ship. Not too much, not too little, but sadly it can go on the pay-to-win side, but currently there is no such thing, except for a few other versions of the game. But yeah, those are the two main currencies of the game. Don't worry too much about them. You will learn about them. Just stockpile as much as you can. The ship layout. Well, I guess this is where things get tricky. Now, this is only the basic ship right of the game, but later on you'll be able to build basic floating cities on your boat. What do I mean by that? Well, miniature cities. You'll need to build fortifications, you'll have your guns because they're very easy to destroy. You also have the power generating elements. As you can see, you'll need to put steel cabins and some other stuff later on, but this is for later. So if you hide your guns behind things that are easy to destroy, or just, you know, hide them a little bit so they don't get destroyed from the first PvPer you see, because that's a valid strategy. Destroying very expensive guns that you have to repair, and that's very time consuming. So yeah. Also remember that power is needed to shoot the guns, so if you don't have enough power, you're not even able to shoot your machine gun. So power is needed to shoot the guns and drive the boat. If you are moving, you are using power. If you are shooting, you're using power. And the cannon uses a lot more power. I think they use about 30 power to shoot once, because you don't have any ammo. Anyway, you can fiddle around with that a little more. Just know that that's why it's not such a good idea to only put cannons, because if you only put cannons, you'll be a sitting duck, or if you put too much, if you have a big boat like this, you need to put a lot of stuff on it just to make it a little faster, and then it will get destroyed. And then you need to repair it, and that's very, very time consuming. You also can change the armor of the ship, or the hull. As you can see, you can make it out of wood, it out of metal. I have a metal hull over here, which is great because I can take a lot of damage, but sadly it uses up a lot of iron to repair it. So I would recommend sticking for wood for a very, 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 very long time. And as you can see, most people here use metal. But this is going to be a thing you can do after you learn more about the game and actually get a boat that is worthwhile to invest in. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to modify the ship. You just move things around. I'll have to do another video for this as well. Tip number 8, weight of the ship. You only see the weight of the ship over here. As you can see, my ship has a weight capacity of 300 tons. Now, I think this is also the weight of the ship. It's not going to be just the ship. Let's say you have 300 capacity on its own. I think it's just the weight of the ship, the displacement, plus the things you put on it, and the rest of that, as you can see, 77,000 is the free space I have in the ship. Now, you can basically store a lot of materials on a ship like this, but if your boat has holes in it, you'll start gaining water, and the water will always be at your max capacity, meaning you need to have 300 tons of water to sink. In other words, I can take another 77 1000 tons of water before icing. But if you have a ship that is smaller, or if you have it filled with materials, you might only have, let's say, 10,000 kilograms available of water. So that means you'll sink much faster. So be careful of the weight, because the more loot you have on board and the smaller the ship, the faster you will sink if your hull gets breached. So that will be kind of an annoying thing to happen, so keep an eye on that as well. Because faster ships will need to be fast and not get hit, and bigger ships can be hit a lot and they seem immortal, and that's why. Now, events. It's important to get the coins and some of the other stuff they can give you, but keep in mind that everything you do anywhere on the map will cost you resources. So that means if your ship gets destroyed a lot in an event, and you get, let's say, 1000 coins or something like that, it's not worth it, because you need to farm a lot more to repair your ship and to keep it back, make it back, how should I put it, in a usable state. So sometimes it's better not to do the events and focus on other tasks like quests, or just exploring the map and some other stuff. Yeah, events can be tricky, especially because a lot of people are very, very aggressive, and they're mostly, well, I guess most of them played in the beta. Did you see that ship? That's basically all guns. Yeah, the people who played in the beta had a massive advantage at the beginning of the game. Look at that. That's a very cool ship, but it's not going to be good in PvP. While a ship like this that is fully armored is very good in PvP. Anyway, PvP versus PvE, tip number 10. The game has a faction, and some factions will be able to attack you anywhere for no real benefit, but you also lose a lot of supplies. You saw that guy that had a red icon that was a circle like that? Yeah. Depending on your factions, you can attack other players almost everywhere on the map that is not a safe spot, but also the factions over here are going to appear on the map. So for example, if I'm a courier and I encounter a courier ship controlled by the AI, they'll not attack me, and I cannot attack them. So it's very good to see how the factions work. But sadly, sometimes you cannot even complete a quest if you have to destroy, let's say, a courier faction in the quest, and you're also the courier faction. For example, the headhunters are some of the strongest ships in the game. So it's kind of recommended you join the headhunters in the beginning. The game also will tell you that as well. But the couriers also have some weird flying machines that will destroy you very fast. I don't know, it's weird. Just know that based on your faction choice, some areas might be harder for you to do, but you also cannot attack those enemies to steal their boats. So yeah, it's going to be very hard to change your faction every 24 hours only. Again, don't want to get into too many details, just mention the important stuff. Now, tip number 11, dredging. Dredging is very, very important, and it's kind of a complex thing until you do it the first or second time. So for dredging, you need a lot of things. First of all, you need a dredge. Don't forget to put it on your ship. Secondly, you need a scanner. So near the minimap, as you can see, we have a little keyhole, and that keyhole will fill up, or will give you a little notice when you have something that is worth investigating. But that's not all of the time. So these things over here will sometimes have materials. The smaller things can sometimes have a ship icon on them, and then the thing will not glow. I guess I'll explain it in a separate video, but when it glows, you just go in that direction, you activate this thing. And then you need to center it, the glowing thing object that will appear in it, you need to center your ship over it, and then you press P to dredge it. That will basically make you very, very vulnerable. And you can also just dredge and waste time, because usually you'll get a crate with a few bits of wood and stuff like that. Yeah, and you can get some really, really important gear. Press E to just take it directly. So one of the goals of the game is to go in these areas over here, and if there is items in them, you have to dredge them. Or some of these will have items, or sometimes it's not even marked anywhere. I don't know. It's weird, it's fun, it's an interesting mini game, and it's definitely needed for you to play the game. Some of the resources needed to upgrade your base are only found in the special dredging areas. Also, tip number 12, press Q to use the items. As you can see, some of them will have very, very interesting uses, like I said. So only use them when you are trying to escape from someone or something. Also, tip number 13, you need water and food for the crew. If your crew is at top performance, they'll be super, super strong. So don't forget to buy them some seafood or find some seafood. Have one of these things, the water catcher on the ship if you have space for it. Yeah, I guess there are other things to say about the game, but just know that they have some needs that you need to be fulfilling. And the final tip, or the final mega tip, keep in mind that everything that is exposed and gets damaged on a ship must be repaired with resources. So the more stuff you have and the less protected it is, the more resources you lose repairing it. Equipment also loses efficiency as it gets damaged, like the battery storing less at a lower durability. So in a way, the goal of the game at some point will just become for you to upgrade your base, but also just make a very good ship designed for its purpose. So you might have a ship that is good at PvP events, you might have a ship that is very good at, let's say, dredging.
City up.
And you also will need to work on your base a lot, because everything you build over here will require you to do a quest. As you can see, we have the materials, and this thing over here you'll get via a quest. And the more you play, the more stuff you'll unlock. So as you can see, superstructures, you can have a better cabin. And at tier 2, get this Scorpiona torpedo boat, because even if you capture a ship, you'll not capture the furniture or the stuff on it, you'll just capture the stuff, the boat itself. And then you'll also be able to craft your other stuff. I don't know, I don't want to get too much into the base building because it's going to be a very fluffy topic. But as a note, let's go over to construction a bit. You'll be able to build it fully, you'll also have access to sawmills and some other stuff, but you also need power for it, and you can transform the lower tier resources into higher tier resources. So at some point the game will get a lot easier. You also need to build the turbines, but until you get to that point, you better be a little more careful with your materials. I guess I can show you how many I have. The plates, I think they're used for better tiers of stuff, so you can sell them in the beginning to get enough corks to buy gun parts and some other stuff. Also, as you can see, I have a lot of stuff to assemble guns. Yeah, somehow I get a lot of cannon remains. Try to keep some of the fans, some of the improvised with generators, because in the beginning you cannot make them, so that will be a very tough thing to do. To customize your boat, you need to basically keep everything.